My name is John Ferrara, and I'm super excited to be here with you today at Google's amazing headquarters in Venice with Robert Kampanen. And we're here today to talk about something that is near and dear to my heart, the power of relationships and their ability to help you achieve your passion, plan, and purpose in life. I think that the contacts that you're connecting to, the conversations that you're having, and the activities that you're driving from those conversations via collaboration with your team are the keys to your success as a business. And that's why we're super excited to partner with Google Apps for Work, because we believe that it is the foundation, the highway that will drive your business to success in the future. And so what we're here today to talk about is how can you do that? How can you combine your communications, collaborations with some effective sales and marketing to achieve your business goals? But before we get into that, I'd love to introduce my co-host, Robert Kampanen. Robert has been instrumental in putting this partnership together. He's been building partnerships all his life at a number of different amazing companies, one of which is SAP, and one of the companies that we actually use for our database, MongoDB. But I just want to say that out of all the people that we've dealt with in partnerships, Robert's been amazing to work with and has really been effective at building this opportunity. But beyond the business side, I'd love to learn a little bit more about Robert's background, beyond what you could read in his resume, because I think that's how people connect across people's areas of commonality. So Robert, tell us a little bit about something that we couldn't find out from reading your LinkedIn background.
Thanks so much, John. It's great to be here with you, and this is a great opportunity, and this is really excited about this session. I guess something about me, I've gotten into surfing a while back, and I'm at Venice Beach here and have not had a chance yet to go into the surf. There's been massive windstorms out here, and so it may or may not happen, but keep on the coastal conditions. Otherwise, a transplanted Canuck, more used to the ice than surfing, but hope to get some use of that. And John, how about yourself? I mean, you have so much rich history in CRM and your background in in creating Goldmine and this how that came to be. Really rich history. Could you tell us a little bit more about that, or maybe something that none of us know about you?
Well, I think that if you want to get to know me, you need to move beyond my resume and look at a little bit about my own passion, plan, and purpose in life. And really it centers around connecting with other human beings, because I think that that's why we're on this planet, is to grow our souls and help other people grow theirs. And we do that by connecting with other people, sharing conversations, and through that conversations we power each other to succeed. And I think that's what you're there as a business to do, because I think service is the new sales. And so that's enough about my business background. Personally, I love to cook. I love to break bread with other people, because I think that's how you can get to know people, is sitting down across the table, putting your phones down, and actually having a conversation, listening to learn, to find ways where you could add value to that other human being. Beyond that, I love photography, astronomy, mountain biking, and backpacking. So let's get into a little bit of the heart of the matter of why we're here. We keep talking about this thing about relationships and how they're critical to your business success. I truly believe that to build a business, you need to focus on the contacts you're connecting to, the conversations that you're having, and the activities that you're driving from those conversations. And ultimately, that all centers around contacts, email, calendar, and the productivity apps and the collaboration tools that you're using to drive the interactions with the people around your business to succeed. And I think one of the things that people make a mistake of in business is they think it's just prospects and customers that you need to connect to grow your business. It's more than prospects and customers, than sales and marketing. That's why you need a foundational relationship platform like Google Apps for Work that creates that foundation. And as we talk through this webinar today, I want to make it as interactive as possible. We've got Joseph Kelly behind the scenes in the GoToWebinar control panel. Please ask questions. We want to be able to be as effective at delivering information to you, and use the hashtag be nimble in Google Apps. If you're using Twitter, we'd love to connect with you. We have Michaela on the Nimble social identities who can interact with you as well live. So let's talk and center in about the idea of contacts and the history of contact management, because if you think about it, we all live in our inbox, and now more and more in the places where our customers are having conversations across social media. Why are we doing that? We're doing it to build relationships. So if we're going to talk about relationships, let's talk about the history of them. Back in the day, we used to have these things called business cards. Now, I don't know how many people still exchange business cards out there, but I could tell you in this young millennial world, I don't see many. How about you, Robert?
No, not at all.
No. So really, this is sort of hearkening to the past, but ultimately, this thing that you see in front of you is a Rolodex. And then back in the day, we managed our contacts by putting them in these Rolodex, and our contacts weren't just a business card. It was a person that we've taken the time to build a relevant and authentic pay-it-forward relationship to become their trusted advisor, so when they do make a buying decision, they not only thought of us and picked up the phone, but they dragged their friends with them. And that is built on trust. People buy from people they like, know, and trust. And so back in the day, we did that with the Rolodex. And I know a thing or two about this contact management business, because sometimes I feel like the Don Quixote of relationship management. I've been saying the same thing for 30 years, and now all of a sudden, relationship seems to be going through a renaissance. But back in the day when I started in business, there was no Outlook, there was no CRM, there was no tool to manage relationships, and I struggled as a business person. And so what I did back in the day when I got a lead, I made notes on that piece of paper, and I used this thing called a day timer. Robert, have you ever used a day timer?
I have used a day timer. They were great. They worked. For the time, they worked.
Yeah, yeah. But the thing is, it's easy to get lost in there. Look at all those notes. And then how did you collaborate back in the day? This is how we did it in my office. We use these things called pink while you're out slips. You ever use one of these?
Yeah, absolutely.
Did you have that thing with the steel pedal where the steel needle where you'd stick them down on top of that and you pull them off as you walked in, or was there a box?
Yeah, no, they would always become loose, and then if the window's open, they're flying around.
Yeah, and this is how I felt as a business person trying to manage my communications in email, my collaboration in pink while you're out slips, and my day timer appointments. And so I built a tool that helped people to manage relationships. It really was a foundation of contact management, but that was 30 years ago, Robert, and you know what? Things have changed. Tell us how they've changed.
So in over the 30 years, the whole process has changed. Everything has changed. But the really frustrating thing is that the tools to address it reflected the old process. So this is how work was done from an office desk, 30 years ago. You'd create a report, you'd do a bunch of research, you create a document, find a yellow envelope, stick it in. I think many of us in this webinar have been there. This envelope would make us wait rounds. It would get marked up, and then it would end up back to you, and then you try to consolidate all this stuff that came back at you. And what actually happened was that the tools that were developed were for this exact same process. So you go into word processor to start a document, and then you'd attach it to an email. There'd be some sort of version number, so you keep track of all the different versions. These would be emailed around. Eventually, they end up back to you with different comments and different revision numbers. But you would have to try to consolidate all this stuff coming back at you. And there is a far better process. There's a completely different way of doing this. I think we're seeing we're seeing it now in the innovative companies that are growing from the ground up. You get everyone in a room together, you get the tools out of the way, and amazing things can happen. So decisions can get made really quickly, brand new ideas can happen accidentally, on purpose, by design, through discovery process. And our goal with Google Apps for Work is to make more out of this kind of collaboration. Basically, build an environment where people can create, think, and reason together to achieve these shared goals with the technology getting out of the way. And so Google Apps for Work is an integrated solution. There's one logon to create, to collaborate, to share, to meet, and to connect, and it works from any device. It's super simple because Google not only prides itself in that, because it gets the technology out of the way as much as possible, and really focuses on the results, and so you get the results from this. And so across apps, our aim is really to lighten life's work, to make it easier and to have some more fun along the way so that people can affect change and achieve their goals. So we built it to be the software equivalent of putting everyone into a big conference room together, and the three of us are actually sitting together in a conference room, and it's great. It's great things can happen. So our goal isn't just to make an integrated set of tools that connect with each other, is to make better engagement experience for everyone at work. And so what does this better engagement experience look like? Well, it looks like people creating together in real time from wherever they are and whatever device they're on. It looks like teams making decisions faster because they can reach a consensus faster. It looks like people talking face-to-face when they want to, so that coworkers can see each other's expressions and reactions to ideas. It looks like a single space for all the stuff that a team creates, so no more dealing with versions and version numbers. It's one source of truth, and when you go and look, you can find it there, and it's always up to date for everyone. And since we're Google, of course, it's easy to search and find all the information that you need. It also looks like people being able to easily extend their work ecosystem, say to an outside contractor, and then just as easily pull it back when the project is over. It looks like a team tracking its performance in real time instead of a groggy Monday morning meeting. And so everyone is on the same page with the spreadsheet and with easy visualizations of the data itself. So John, back to you. Like I sort of laid out this collaboration, communication platform called Google Apps for Work. Over to you. I'd like to hear how Nimble builds upon this to extend it to accomplish these goals that you've laid out.
Robert, thank you so much for sharing the Google vision about how people can be more effective at communicating and collaborating personally or professionally. I'm a big fan of Google Apps for Work. We run Nimble on Google Apps for Work, and I run my personal life on Gmail, and I super dig the way it just works, right?
Yeah.
It just works. I can depend on it all the time. And what we've done at Nimble is we really believe that the foundation of your life is the contacts you're connecting to, the conversations you're having, and the activities that you're driving from those conversations. The thing is that it takes more than conversations to build a relationship, and you need to collaborate as a team around those contacts to do it. And what we're doing at Nimble is layering a layer on top of Google Contacts, email, calendar, and synchronizing it together to create a cohesive whole that gives you context and insights about the contacts that you're connecting to. But before I start talking about that, I'd like to talk about the history of relationship management a little bit more, because of how it evolved from the days of Goldmine, where we built a relationship platform that really powered people to connect with people. That evolved in this thing called CRM. And I like to joke that the reason they call it Salesforce is that you have to force salespeople to use it, but it's not far from the truth that really CRM stands for not customer relationship management, but customer reporting management, because it's not there to help people to connect with people. It's more about controlling people, about keeping the hand around the neck of the salesperson and the finger on the pulse of the business. And this is how most people feel about their CRM or even their sales manager And this is how they feel when they're trying to get their job done on a daily basis. I'd love to see a show of hands about the amount of people out there that feel constricted by the tools that they're given for sales and marketing relationship management. You spend 60% of your time wasting looking people up, logging what you know, logging what you did, and you're not really enabled when you're engaging with customers on that face-to-face basis. And so that's why we built Nimble, to be the first relationship manager that works for you by building itself and then works with you everywhere you work, because I don't think you should have to look people up and log what you know and log what you did. That's what we built computers for. And I don't think you should have to go to your contact tool or your CRM to use it. It should go with you everywhere you work. And so let's take a look at how that actually works in real life. And so this is a day in the life of a typical person who's building connections in business. So when you generate a lead that goes over to your website, what do? You need to take that lead and convert that lead into a contact, a prospect. Typically what you do with that lead is you go and put it into your marketing automation system to lead nurture it until it's marketing qualified. What that means is you want to know enough about that person to see if there's somebody that you should spend time to interact with on a one-to-one basis. So when you have that person marketing qualified, in other words, you have more than just their email, they've come back and they've let you know a little bit more about them and their business and that they are a good fit for your product. You then put them inside of some type of CRM. And basically what a CRM is a database that you have to type information in. And typically what you do to get that information in the database is you go and Google somebody. You go and Google and look them up, and inevitably you go to their LinkedIn resume. And I say their resume because this is just one dimension of who somebody truly is. And honestly, if you want to know more about John Ferrara, you could probably learn more about me on my Instagram in 5 seconds than you can in my LinkedIn resume. But ultimately, what you need to do is then take that information and put that in a database. Now, I'm going to tell you a sad truth. Nobody does that. There's 225 million global businesses, less than 1% use any CRM. Most people's CRM is their inbox or a spreadsheet because people don't want to type data in a computer, and even if you were able to get somebody to type something in a computer, people change, companies change. So essentially, the database becomes corrupt, out of date. And inevitably, you don't want to have your salespeople spending time Googling people and logging what they know. That's what a computer's for. And they sell this thing called sales intelligence software that helps you to do that. And then, once you have the intelligence of who they are and what they're about, then you need to reach out to them in some sort of one-to-one way. And God forbid you use market automation to do that. This is an example of an email I got recently from somebody I actually know for 5 years. He sent me this email from this thing called Infusionsoft, which is a market automation program. And you can see in here that it looks like a market automation email. This is the kind of thing you throw away on a daily basis. And it has this unsubscribe, and he's essentially telling me like he's talking to me. He's not talking to me. He's talking to 5,000 people. And so what you want is you want some sort of email tracking, one-to-one templating thing that sends emails on your behalf so it feels like you actually know who this person is and you're reaching out in a one-to-one way. But if you add up all of these tools, the sales and marketing technology stack that you need to build in order to grow your business, each of these tools is $50 to $150 to $300 per rep per month, and I think it's too costly and complex. And actually, I think the heart of your business is your contacts. The contacts you're connecting to, the conversations you're having, and the activities you're driving from those conversations. What Nimble does is it unifies these into a cohesive whole. So when you onboard into Nimble, we'll synchronize your contacts, all the emails that you and the team have done with them, every single calendar activity that you and the team are doing or have done. And then what we do is we map that person's background, where we will go ahead and map their identity on their person and their company, and we bring the data down and we keep the data up to date on a daily basis, because that's what a computer should do for you. Track when you or the team last spoke to them, update the record, and synchronize all the history of interactions and conversations that you and the team have done. Because ultimately, it's not just your salespeople that are contacting the people around your business, it's everybody in the company, and you should have a unified relationship platform to do that. And then what you need is you need to be able to use that everywhere you work, because I think that today we're all living in our inbox, and if we are in our inbox, wouldn't it be nice to be able to see the person that we're having a conversation with? So with Nimble, we essentially work with you everywhere you work, where we give you the details of the relationship, the status of the connection, their profile of who they are, what they're about, where they're from, where they went to school, as well as the ability to see the history of all communication across all the different places, including your Gmail, including social, and to be able to even walk in that person's digital footprint to add value to the conversation. And then this is the most important thing: follow up and follow through. Robert, my dad taught me it's the basics that wins games, and that most business opportunities are lost because lack of follow up and follow through. What are your thoughts on that?
It's a pretty good lesson. I mean, I would totally agree. People can have great meetings, everyone walk away smiling, and I would say 90% of it is the follow through and keeping the momentum going.
Yes. And so the thing is if I have to follow through with Adam by going to my contact tool to create some sort of task, I'm not going to do it. And so ultimately, when I'm reading an email, when I'm interacting with a person, I need context and insights. Context is the history of email and calendar activities and social interactions. Insights is who are they and what's their business about and the status of the connection. And that then enables me to take the appropriate action. Now, maybe I need to reply to him in this email, but at least I'm educated about the history of interaction with my team and who he is and who his business is. But sometimes you don't reply to an email, especially if it comes from a market automation system, because he'll never see it. Sometimes I might need to reply on a different email address. Sometimes I might need to schedule a follow-up or follow-through or log a note. And that's what Nimble does so powerfully, and it does that for you everywhere you work. So if I'm sitting here and I see I have this meeting with this guy, Oliver, wouldn't it be nice for Nimble to essentially give me the insights that I need on that person so I could then go ahead and be prepared for that meeting? Nimble works with you everywhere you work, even inside of your social activities, because today, if you want to be top of mind with your customer, you need to be able to interact with them across whatever channel is effective for them. And I can tell you, Robert, one of the most powerful places to inspire and educate other people about how you can help them become better, smarter, faster is in the channels they spend all day long. And I don't know about you, Robert, but most of our customers are in social media all day long. What about yours?
Yeah, absolutely. They're there, and they're there in a professional capacity, work capacity, and also in a personal capacity.
And I believe that business is personal. It's social.
Yeah.
People buy from people they like, know, and trust, and there's no better way to earn trust than to build a relationship, and these relationships start in one place and they end up in another. And so what I find is that I start a relationship possibly in one channel like Twitter, and with Nimble you can then take this name. So this guy just followed me. I don't know anything about Zach, but Nimble does. I nimble him. That's actually a verb, Robert. You like that?
That's great.
I nimble him, and then I can add him to my Nimble database. And ultimately, when I am interacting with somebody, I can then, so this is Bennett Kelly, I could see the history of all my Google interactions for my team all in one place wherever I am. And I think that's the future of work, is to be able to get context on insights on anyone, anywhere. And I think the most powerful business signals that you have are the contacts that you're connecting to, the conversations you're having, the activities you're driving, which is Google Apps for Work. But ultimately, if you just go to a contact record and you don't have the history of email and calendar, and you go to the calendar and you can't jump to the contact record, and you go to the email and you can't jump to the contact record, you really need to blend all that together into a cohesive whole and then take that with you everywhere you work. But what I'd like to do is talk a little bit more about the database and how you can use that to segment and interact, because I truly believe, like Mae West said, out of sight is out of mind, and out of mind is out of money, honey. How do you stay top of mind with people, Robert?
Me, I'm using the Google Apps for Work, using Nimble, and trying to break the old habits of writing down stuff on sticky pads, because it's just not effective.
Well, I'm in the boat with you, and ultimately I find that it's critical to stay top of mind with not just your prospects and customers, but their influencers as well. And one of the things I love about Nimble is that when I put a name in the database, it enriches it with people and company data. In fact, you can Nimble a company as well. And so with Nimble, Nimble essentially will take any bit of information from anywhere. It's smart wherever you're at, and it'll deliver you people and company information. This is the company data that it delivers. It also delivers people information. So essentially, when I bring Nimble up, it's smart wherever it's at, builds these records instantaneously, and that happens within the database as well. So when I look at this record, you can see that Brian is influential in marketing and LinkedIn and Facebook and customer service. I can segment this database and begin to reach out to it, because ultimately you need to be able to communicate not in a one-to-many but a one-to-one way. So Nimble actually allows you to segment off of all this data. It enriches on people. And I'm speaking at a conference next month in San Francisco on social media marketing, and what I'd like to do is reach out to all the people that are in my Google contacts now in my Nimble system, and reach out to them and send them a message letting them know that I will be at that conference, and to be able to connect with them. And Nimble makes it super simple to be able to identify people that matter, reach out in a relevant and authentic way, and build that connection. This email is being sent from my Google Apps for Work Gmail email to that person in a one-to-one way, and when that person opens that message, I then get signals on the open, click, reply, and non-reply, which essentially gives me the ability to be able to see all the details on the open clicks and be able to focus on the people that are interacting with it. And for the people that are not, I could then send a follow-up reply and say, hey, just want to make sure you didn't miss this. And so with Nimble, I can send those group one-to-one emails. I could also send templated emails directly from within Gmail that enable me to send this one-to-one message to a person. And what it does is it'll personalize that message for me, so that when I go ahead and send this message, it'll appear like it's coming from me to them. And then when I send that message, it'll essentially give me details on those messages, including the open, click, reply, and non-reply. And so I really believe that the foundation of your business is about relationships, and that Google has built a fantastic platform to integrate those contacts, those conversations, and those activities. What Nimble does is it brings it all together, enriches the contacts with company and people data, synchronizes the email and calendars, and then lets you work with that data everywhere you work, including inside of Google Apps for Work. And then what it does, it allows you to segment them and begin to reach out in these one-to-one ways. So what I'd like to do is then just sort of step back and talk about some of the marketplace for CRM and what CRM really is. I think that Nimble's reimagined what CRM might be, and I actually sometimes don't like the acronym CRM. I really kind of still like the idea of relationship management. And the cool thing is about Nimble is that Nimble can either be your Simply Smarter social sales and marketing system, but it could also work within your existing social sales and marketing system. So what Nimble does is if you have an existing CRM, Nimble can actually work within that. Because, Robert, I believe we all have a golden Rolodex and we don't take good care of it. Imagine if every business person listened to me, not just salespeople, were able to bring their network to work with them and be able to enrich it with their network wherever they are. And so Nimble will actually work within your existing CRM, enabling you to actually get these insights directly within that. And so let's step back and wrap a little bit of this up, because I want to leave some time for some Q&A. In summary, today, Nimble is one of the #1 rated CRMs in ROI, satisfaction, value, and market leadership, not just in CRM, but also in sales intelligence. We've now rolled out sales enablement and look for market automation features coming in the not too distant future. And so I'd like to talk about how some of our customers are using that real quickly. These are some samples of Nimble customers that have integrated Google Apps for Work in order to achieve their business goals. You can find more of these on the Nimble website, which I'll share in a little bit. But specifically, there's a case study that I'd like you to focus on from a company called Convert. They're a SaaS company. They make technology for helping companies convert on their website. And before they had Nimble, they struggled to maintain a comprehensive, unified view of their client interactions from all the different channels. And by layering Nimble on top, and Nimble essentially installed in 5 minutes, it then gave them the capability of leveraging the contacts, conversations, and communications and activities from Google Apps for Work, and then have a unified view and use that everywhere they're working. And I'm super excited about what our customers are doing by combining the two platforms into really 1 + 1 = 3. Are you seeing some of that too, Robert?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, anything we can do to help people, connect the dots. We don't want a situation where people are working, in one siloed application, and then they have to switch gears to work in the other siloed application. The screens that you're showing as you're going through that's all fully integrated to save you that manual effort.
Yeah. And I just want to pause and see if there's any questions that we may be missing, because I can't see the control panel. Oh, there it is, right there. Joe, we got any questions from the audience?
Yeah. Jim was asking, can you sync multiple Google Calendars to Nimble? How do you want that? Okay. And then Rich is saying we're a small company that's mostly remote.
No, I mean, let's answer that question. I'm actually not sure about that. Do we, Joe?
Yeah, you can sync multiple Google Calendars from your organization into Nimble. So not multiple Google account calendars. So
right.
John at Nimble and John personal at gmail.com
right.
calendars, but John at Nimble can sync all of his organization's calendars access to, so you can sync my calendar.
Oh, I see. I see. Okay. So let's go ahead and take a quick look at that, how that works. I can sync multiple email accounts into Nimble, including different Gmail accounts. I use John at Nimble as my primary one. I use Jay Ferrara as one for if I'm doing outreaches and I don't want to barrage my main inbox with those. And Jack.Baker is one I use for testing our group email sends. And then for my Google Calendar, I sync my business calendar into Nimble, and then our entire team syncs their 25 business calendars into Nimble. I also sync my different social networks into it. And if you're using a third-party email provider like IMAP or something else, we also synchronize those as well. What I want to do is I want to drill down into something very briefly and tell you about some of the power of Google Apps and why we choose it as our platform to use at Nimble ourselves. If I'm building these groups of contacts to reach out to, depending on the parameters that I'm using for my segmentation, I may want to be able to send 30 messages, 100 messages, 300, or more. And so you're only limited by the plan you select with Nimble and the provider that you're using. With Google Apps for Work, the maximum amount of emails that you can send is 2,000 per day, which is almost 10 times as much as some of the other providers out there. And so we love the fact that you could send those messages at scale. And the other thing I wanted to show you is just briefly our mobile app, because I think that we're all on the road and on the go, and what we want to be able to do is to take our Google contacts and our Nimble contacts with us everywhere we work. And so let me just quickly bring this up, and while I'm doing that, Joe, do you have any other questions from the audience?
Yeah, so Tammy is asking for a group messaging function, how many people can you message at once per day?
Sure. So that's essentially what I was alluding to before. So if I am in Google and I compose a message, you can send up to 2,000 messages per day with Google Apps for Work from Gmail on a daily basis. So that means that Nimble would enable you to send up to 2,000 tracked emails on an individual basis. If you wanted to send group messages we have to limit you below the limit of whatever your provider has. And we have an FAQ on that from on our website that Joe can share in the control panel. But ultimately, for most providers, it's 200 to 300 emails, or 200 to 500 emails. So we then limit you below that so you don't run out of emails. With Google Apps for Work, it's up to 2,000, and we're in the process of testing our technology to be able to leverage that all the way up to that limit. Any other questions, Joe?
Rich is asking, how can we best, he's got a small company that has mostly remote workers, they're on Google Apps for Work. I'd like to know, how can they best use Nimble to keep track of their sales staff activities and points of contact throughout their day?
Okay, so essentially with Nimble, you can, you don't have to actually log the things you're doing, because Nimble will automatically synchronize the activities that you and your sales team are doing across all of Google Apps, including social as well. That leaves the business person to do the basics, which is logging notes and calls, scheduling tasks, and not just doing that in Nimble, because if you have to go to your CRM to use it, you won't use it. That's why the #1 selling app in the Salesforce App Exchange is a plugin to Gmail that allows you to edit and update Salesforce records, because that's where most people live, is in their inbox, but not just their inbox, wherever the customers are having conversations. And that's why Nimble works with you in all those places, and then your reps can go ahead and log their notes, schedule their tasks wherever they are, which means that you as a manager would be able to then be able to see all that, including their deals as well as their pipeline dashboard to manage that as well.
And further to that, for Rich's to Rich's question, he can view all calendars, so he can add all of the individual calendars, and so he'll be able to see all the different appointments, by day, by week, by month, however he chooses. Another option there is you could create one calendar called service calls, or whatever you want, and basically share that calendar, and people could also view it by that way as well.
Good point. Thank you, Robert.
I'm sifting through some questions that is.
Okay, so let's go ahead and talk a little bit about some of the case studies that you have from Google.
Absolutely, we have 5 million companies that have gone Google. Includes banks, universities, government agencies. These are 5 million companies who've made the choice to become digital businesses, because they recognize how the business landscape is changing rapidly. And the thing, John and I, we've been chatting on this type of stuff for so long now. The thing that I really love, and it's really, really exciting for me, is when I see a brand new small business begin, and two owners, 5 owners, 10 owners, you can be up and running with a Google Apps for Work account in a matter of minutes. And then you have the shared drive, place to store your stuff. You have the shared calendars. You can view whatever access rights you want to set up, and everyone's basically collaborating on the same page. And there's the email account with a professional domain, and that's just really exciting to see that sort of productivity so quickly. We've never had that before.
Yeah, I think it's amazing to think about how far we've come from the days of installing an Exchange server and hiring a tech guy to come in and manage that for you, and SQL Server, and then all the apps, and it was amazing how costly and complex that was back in the day.
Yeah. So one example, picking up on that was, Phil's Coffee. In about 20 minutes, they had set up Google accounts, the usernames, the passwords, and 30 managers across all different store locations. They could be anywhere in the world. We're instantly connected. That's a lot of collaboration happening really quickly. And the beauty again of this is setting it up in less than 20 minutes and connecting everyone across all these different stores.
So if you're currently using Nimble or Google Apps for Work or some other product, I want to encourage you to go and check out how Nimble plus Google can help you become better, smarter, faster. I truly believe that by combining the foundation of your contacts, of your conversations, of your activities in your calendar into a cohesive whole with Nimble plus Google Apps for Work, that it really can power your business to grow. And don't just think of Nimble as a CRM or something for sales and marketing people, because I really believe that everybody in your company touches the community around your business to help you achieve your business goals, and that you should have a unified relationship record for your entire business with the context of history of interactions, so that everybody is on one page. No matter who picks up the phone, they know who they're talking to, what's been done, and what's going to happen, and who's going to do it, and the insights on that person and their company, so that they could take the most effective action at the moment, whether it is a prospect, a vendor, a business partner, or some other person that your business is connecting with to help it grow. And before we wrap up, I'd like to just see if there's any final questions that are from the audience, Joe.
So this is a question for Robert. Allison's currently using business email through Network Solutions, and she's using a personal Gmail account now. What would the process be to convert over to Google Apps for Work?
It's a very simple process. The link that was on that slide takes you to this page, to this Nimble page that you're looking at right now, and the green button is Try It Now. And it's just such a simple process to move to adopt Google Apps for Work, and it's better to do it easier. It's better to do it sooner than later, because it's an easy process now. But if you go building your business and it's getting too complex, it's best to do it sooner than later. And try out the trial, and there's no harm in doing the trial. But I think once you're into the trial and actually using it, and everyone's again on the same page, the same drive, the same calendar, professional-looking email accounts, combined with the power of Nimble, you're off and running.
And then another one for Robert. Chuck is asking, how does Google Apps for Work work with iOS for Apple products?
So we've made massive strides with iOS. The apps are in just seamless experience. If you receive a shared doc, you can open it up in your iOS device. If you receive an email with a link to a drive folder, you can open up the drive folder in iOS. Everything works seamlessly, beautifully in iOS.
And lastly, Robert, Jim is wondering, what's the cost for Google Work?
It's $5 a month per user for Google Apps for Work, or $10 for unlimited storage if you want to have the unlimited storage.
Great. And Nimble is $15 per user per month. And I want to encourage you all to go ahead and sign up for a Nimble account if you haven't used it already. It's really simple to use. You just OAuth into your Google Apps account. We auto-magically build a relationship platform for you, and then we work with you everywhere you work. I want to point out that we have integrations for Chrome that enable you to use Nimble everywhere you work. All you do is just go to our Nimble website, scroll down to the bottom, and you'll see this plugin for Chrome. We've got apps for Android as well as iOS, and plugins for Gmail as well. And so, Robert, I just want to thank you for hosting this at the amazing Google Venice office. It looks like it's a lot of fun to be a Googler.
It's a ton of fun, and we didn't have time for before this webinar. We're going to take that time after.
Great, great. And I want to thank everybody who's taken time out of their day to come and listen to our story about the power of relationships and their ability to help you achieve your passion, plan, and purpose in life. And I hope that that plan and purpose involves helping other people grow, because that's what we're here on this planet to do, is to help other people grow on a daily basis. And if you could do that at scale, you could build a gold mine. I know I did. Connect with us on social. Connect with us out there. Let us know how we can help you grow. Good luck and good selling. Thank you for coming.